All right, the meeting is being recorded.
Yeah.
Excellent. So as Blair said, Game Plan is Sport Australia's free online diagnostic tool. And it's designed to provide sporting clubs with insights into their current capability and connect them with the tools and resources needed to support ongoing club development. Game Plan replaced Sport Australia's previous club health check, and it was released back in December 2020. It was a bit of a soft launch at the time, and Hamish was in the team at that point in time and has spent 2021 making the user experience a lot better and investing in getting the platform up and out. And in 2022, we're working with NSOs like Hockey Australia to try and push Game Plan out to as many clubs as possible. Currently, we have 1,350 clubs across 70 sports registered, and as Blair mentioned, 81 hockey clubs, and hockey is certainly leading the charge in our top 5 sports that have signed up, which is really great to see. So what I'm going to do tonight is jump into a bit of a how to use Game Plan, and at each point in the Game Plan workflow, I'll jump into the benefits. But overall, the benefit is really to try and reduce the workload of volunteers. We know the volunteers on this call tonight are really the backbone of grassroots sporting clubs, and we know it's typically a job amongst many other jobs that you do. And so Game Plan's really been designed to enable a club committee to easily understand where they're at and to identify small steps to take to try and move forward, both to help volunteers, but also to try and help the club become a more developed club and therefore hopefully attract some more members in that participation space. So what I'll do, and I'm assuming given the number of hockey clubs that we have on, that some people on the line tonight are already using Game Plan. But what I'll do is I'll just run through very quickly the sign up process, and I'll share my screen. I'm going to run through the sign up process using screenshots only because I've already used all my email addresses to create Game Plan accounts. So I'm out of sign ups, and then I'll jump into the live platform itself to run through different things. As Blair said, ask questions in the chat anytime. Please stop me, otherwise I'll ramble for probably half an hour, way too long. Jump in anytime. So hopefully everyone can see that screen. Perfect. All right, so when you log into Game Plan, and again, apologies, this is static. We've got our website here, sportaus.gov.au/gameplan. You get to see this screen with a big yellow button that says Get Started with Game Plan. You get taken to a portal that says Welcome to the Game Plan portal, and you can sign up or register an account. Then if you've never logged into Game Plan before, you click on Register, and this will take you through to a Game Plan button, so specifically signing up for Game Plan. And then you click Sign Up Now. And then eventually you'll see this screen, which will ask you for your email address for you to create a password and add your name and surname. And then you'll just be asked to verify. We use a Microsoft system, so that will take you through to there. And then that's how you create a club within Game Plan itself. So I'm going to stop sharing that sign up, and happy to share the that kind of cheat sheet that we have going after this so everyone can see it. And now I'm going to dive into the platform, assuming that I have signed up as a sport club. Awesome. So this is the screen that you see when you enter Game Plan. And I suppose the first thing that's worth noting is that the first person to create a club becomes the club's super user. And the super user has special access. If my thing's going to load. So that super user has special access. They get to edit the club profile and the priorities, which I'll go into further here. But when this loads up, it's been a little bit slow tonight. So the super user, as you can see here, is myself. It's got my email address. And this page within the profile allows you to invite other users in. So the great thing about Game Plan is it's not limited to one person doing it. The idea is that the committee does it collectively and separately, in that multiple users can join up and they can access different modules and do different modules. So the classic example we use is the treasurer might like to do the finance module, and you can go through. So the super user can be changed by the super user itself. So someone, the club president was a super user and they were moving on, they can demote themselves and another user can become the super user. And you can invite anyone else to join, and there's no limits on the number of people that can join, but you might like to have some controls yourself. And the super user approves any access by other users, and that just gives a little bit of control of the data and the people in there. And so what the super user gets to do is they get a popular club profile. Yeah. Awesome. So the club profile, it collects information such as email address, phone number, website, legal status of a club, ABN, the club facilities, the state. We're going to add a button here for LGA. It allows you, importantly, to collect workforces and membership and participation numbers. And I suppose the real benefit of this is storage of corporate knowledge. And so it allows club numbers to be monitored and workforce numbers year on year. The other great thing is I'm a grants officer at my local club, and this information comes up in every grant application. So it's really ease of access. And so while the super user can only edit this information, any user can view the information, which is profile. The idea is that that would be populated, and then a super user would move on to priorities. So as I mentioned at the start, Game Plan has 13 modules. 9 of those are non-foundation modules, and they're the green ones you can see on your screen here. So infrastructure, diversified partnerships, marketing and communications, participation, research and insights, safe and inclusive, stakeholder alignment, tech and digital, and values and behaviours. There are 4 priority modules within Game Plan, which you'll see on the next screen in assessment. They're workforce, governance, strategies, roles and responsibilities, and finance. And the idea is that if a club was going to target 4 modules to do, we'd really recommend those foundation modules. We think that's what keeps a club going. But these 9 foundation modules are also key to club development. What's really great around this priority section is that it can change from year on year, but it really allows a club to start to think strategically about what they can do now. So we really acknowledge, as Blair said, there is no need to complete all 13 modules. The idea is about prioritizing what's important to you now and undertaking some assessment and getting some access to resources around those particular priorities. So again, the super user can only change the prioritization, but you might like to do it in consultation with the whole club committee. Totally fine. And then you can save and continue. So when it saves, it's going to take us through to the assessment part of Game Plan, which is the idea is that a club committee goes through and particular committee members go through and complete a survey on each module within Game Plan. Again, you can do it at any point in time that suits you. No expectation to complete all 13. You wouldn't want to do all 13 in every setting. The idea is that when you do the survey, which I'll click through and I'll do a really short one in just a second, you will get a maturity rating at the end. So you can see this maturity scale up the top here, which has not in place, developing, developed, and excelling. And I think it's really pertinent to point out that we wouldn't say a good club is the club that gets excelling in every single module. A good club might be the club that's going into complete Game Plan because they want to improve club development. It's really highly encouraged to complete this really honestly so that you can get connected with the best resources and support to help you move forward. Yeah, so that's kind of the maturity rating scale and the modules, but I'll jump into a really short one. I'm hoping I get this right. I think values and behaviours is a really
Just quickly,
short one.
Nicola, sorry. Folks,
Hey, jump in.
you can see there that on the screen there, you can see for each of those modules, you have the option to retake the assessment. And I think it's important, as Nicola said earlier, it's important to understand that we don't have a particular view on what success looks like, and a club may be necessary for a club to retake a particular module at a particular point in time because of volunteer changes or a change in the season or a change in your access to grant money or whatever it might be. So the system is designed so that you can take and retake any particular assessment at a point in time that best suits the club.
Perfect. Cool. All right. So I'll jump in here. It's a very short survey the club goes through. Some of the questions themselves are capability building. So, I haven't thought of that before as my job. I often do that as I go through the questions set myself. And then the ultimate goal is to get a maturity reading that's really relevant to you. Let survey load up. Perfect. So as you can see, this survey's supposed to take about 5 minutes. We'll click through it really quickly. But I think the longest survey within the platform is the finance module, and it takes about 15 minutes. And there's a bit of kind of pre-work to do there around collecting financial data and being able to understand financial risk. But that's really as meaty as it gets, 15 minutes. They're supposed to be short and sharp. We don't want to add more burden to volunteers already. So you go through and you click the questions and the answer that's most applicable. So we'll click through some of these. Does your club review its values to ensure they are current and relevant? I'm just going to click through any responses really. Do you communicate the values to your members of your club? Click through. So then some questions that are on a Likert scale. Go through. And so what I didn't mention at the start was that, and we'll work with Blair to do this, game plan is customizable. And so right now I am logged in as a water polo club because we are working with Water Polo Australia to customize game plan. And what you can see here is that Water Polo have added a water polo specific question for their members. So we'll click through here. We'll work with Blair on that probably towards the end of 2022 and into 2023. It's definitely on the cards, but really the key is just getting as many hockey clubs on here as we possibly can. So that's a completed values and behaviours assessment. And then we'll return to the main screen. Now, one really key thing to note in terms of assessment is that sometimes it can take a little bit of time for our systems to talk to each other. So this uses Microsoft Forms as a survey. And so sometimes you don't see the immediate result. It can take 2 to 3 minutes to update, which I suspect will tonight. Yeah, we can't see the results just yet. It'll take 2 to 3 minutes. But you can see before that I completed one the other day. So Wednesday, the 23rd of March, I completed a governance module and went through. So I'm going to jump into that governance module to view the answers while the values and behaviours assessment is having a think about and calculating the maturity rating. So we'll go through, and sorry, that view answers just takes you through to your answers that you've done to that particular module. So you might like to download this and take this to the club committee. You might need this when applying for a grant application. You might like to further interrogate this as a club. So that gives you the opportunity to look at your past answers and download those. If I go back to this page, I should have navigated through the system. We'll let it reload. Perfect. Let's give it a second or two to think. This is definitely my internet system is a lot faster than this. There's too much with the Zoom one tonight. Return to assessment. All right, I'm back in. Perfect. We'll let governance load up. Is there any questions while this is having a little think about what it's doing?
Nothing in the chat at the moment, Nicola.
No, that's okay, Blair. I'll give this 2 seconds, and then if not, I might switch over to a static presentation. Give it one more shot. Right, whilst it's having a think about
Just
it,
on that, Nicola, there is a
Yeah.
question there from Judy.
Oh,
So game
perfect.
plan is available online now.
Awesome. That's right, it is, and it's online and it's free and it's very usable and very relevant to hockey clubs. So anyone can jump in and we can pop that in the chat. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, H, I cut you off.
I was just going to say you can Google search Sport Australia game plan too, and you can go straight in from there as well. So.
Awesome. So this is what you get at the end of an assessment module. So you can see that in the governance, when I did the assessment last week, I got a developing rating and my next maturity rating is developed. Below is some text around what this maturity rating means to me. So as a developing club, I've got a basic constitution and rules in place. Then if I wasn't in a static presentation, we scroll down and we can see what it looks like to be developed, and that would be having a reviewed constitution in place. So they're the kind of tips and tricks that are contained in game plan. You can also see over here that there are some recommended resources and templates specifically targeted at clubs who are moving from developing all the way through to developed. So you can see there's a code of conduct template, a conflict of interest policy template, and those are the types of things that we'd anticipate a developing club to be working towards. What you can see here is an open action plan button. If you click on the open action plan button, it takes you through to a Word document. It's downloadable and it looks just like this project summary you can see on the side. So you fill that in and you might want to have a project around incorporating your club. And then you can see that you can fill out a bit of a project plan. Now, the key thing that we are working on in the game plan team right now is digitizing this action plan so that clubs can fill it in together online so multiple people can see it, because at present you just download it and it's really useful. It's a great template, but it's just kept offline. So we want to make sure we're keeping it in the system and you can see the actions that you've taken in the past or are going to take to try and move forward. So that's a key kind of upgrade that we're doing at the moment to invest in game plan. I can see Rosalind's got a question in the chat. There's more than one person filling the surveys. Yeah, it's a really good question, Rosalind. So the question is, does more than one person fill in the surveys and do you get a rating from across all the responses? At present, only one person fills in a survey at a time. What we'd recommend doing, yeah, H has got it there. What we'd recommend doing is if you want multiple people to complete a survey, that you sit down as a club committee and do it so you can print out the questions and answers. Yeah, and so that's what we're doing. You can see who's completed a survey within a club, so that could be really important, but that's the functionality at the time. We kind of want a single source of truth. Cool. All right. So once the action plan is complete, you head over to the monitor page within game plan, and you can see here with governance, we've got developing through to developed. This button here allows you to click through and look at your action plan and select some resources. So you might select that conflict of interest template or a constitution template. And then it just allows you to assign, why is governance important to your club, the date from the action plan in which you're going to deliver some projects around governance, and who's responsible for it. And then you can save that through and you can monitor that as a club. In the monitor page, there's an ability to update the current status, so on track, at risk, or completed, which is really great. And then we'll click through, and what you can see is that there's also access to a resource library at the end of game plan, and those resources can be assigned to that plan and monitor. The other part of game plan that you can see, I'll just come back to plan and monitor, is that once the plan's been completed and in the monitor section, you've clicked that action is complete, it takes it through to an archive section. And the archive section is a really important part of game plan because it will allow you to compare past and present. So Rosalind, to your question, can multiple people complete it? What you can do is go back. You can complete a whole cycle. So you can go through from assess, plan, monitor, and then to archive. And you might be in governance, developing, and then developed. And then someone new might come into that role at the club, and you go back and you complete the assessment once it's been archived. And next time you might get a developed rating, and then you might be working towards some other small projects to move forward from developed to the next level, which is excelling. So that is pretty much Game Plan 101. What I will show you is a quick snapshot of what's happening in the game plan space right now. To the question earlier around, can Game Plan be accessed now by Judy? It sure can. And we had 1,344 clubs accessing Game Plan as of last week in March. We've got, as I said at the start, about 70 NSOs and NSODs. Hockey, I need to update that figure, but it's well in the top 5. You can see a breakdown by states here, and we've had 4,004 modules completed. So some really good stats from Game Plan, and we're looking forward to getting those up and helping more clubs. I also just wanted to show you what happens with the data in the back end as clubs. So at present, we have this, there's a data usage agreement or a privacy agreement that happens at the start as you sign up in a club in Game Plan. And that mentions that some data will be provided to NSOs and SSOs and Sport Australia, just to try and provide as much support and resources as possible in the club development space. And so what Blair can see in the background is he can see, well, this is the whole sector at a certain point in time. But what you can see in the background is some trends across maturity ratings and modules. And what this really helps us do is just target policy interventions to try and help clubs develop. So you can see here that strategies, roles and responsibilities, clubs might need a little bit of help or direction or support, or we might not be asking the right questions or providing the right funding or resources, which is really helpful. And then you can see in this term, diversified partnerships, which is really around revenue streams at present, that people are doing quite well. So we might want to reach into the sector and find out what they're doing so that we can pass it on to other clubs. So I just wanted to kind of let you know what happens to your data at the end of it on an NSO perspective, but really the benefit first and foremost is for clubs. And it's about allowing you to easily and quickly understand where you're currently at, and then connect you with the resources and tools that you need to work forward a little bit, fully noting that everyone is super, super busy. And so it's just small bite-sized steps to try and move forward as clubs. So that is Game Plan. So I might throw it open or throw it back to you, Blair.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for that. And if anyone wants to just verbalise a question, by all means, jump on. Well done, Nicola and Hamish. Each time I see that presentation, I get enthusiastic about what a volunteer can do in clubland, because we've all been volunteers and wish we had a tool such as this. I mean, some of the things that I really take away from this presentation every time I'm on it is that it helps clubs identify what they're currently doing well or developing, identifying where there's some omissions or inadequacies, and that they can build upon, and it automatically generates the action plan and the resources that goes with that. So for all of us that want to be organized, but life just doesn't sort of give you the time to do it, here's a tool straight away that is just perfect for those clubs and associations that all want to be organized. The other thing is that it really documents everything. So it's always there. You can see the history as people hand over. So I know one of the biggest things in volunteer land at the moment is when the treasurer or secretary leaves, all this corporate knowledge goes with them. But with Game Plan, you've got a lot of that information already there in the sense of where that club is up to at that moment, the financials, the governance, how committees are run and such, and all the templates that are actually being used. And the other great thing is that it does allow us as a national sporting organisation, being Hockey Australia, and us working with the member associations, your state and territory bodies, to identify where we might be able to provide support for you, to make it even easier for you, or to advance in areas that you want to advance in around governance, participation, whatever the category is. So we really looking closely at how we can share services across member associations, but also across associations and clubs. And game plan will allow us to identify some trends that are existing within clubs. If we've still at 81 clubs, we can identify some consistencies within those clubs where we could provide some additional support or provide that advice to the member association to provide that support to the association and or club. So once again, I just can't more highly acknowledge this tool as something that clubs should get into. I just see something from Judy. Can I just grab that? It appears game plan is in competition with Club Map. I haven't heard of Club Map. Have Hamish or anyone heard of Club Map?
No, Judy, I haven't heard of Club Map either. We acknowledge that there's a range of similar tools, both maybe they're a private provider or a fee-for-service provider, and there have been historically some similar type tools provided through state departments of sport and recreation. So we're doing some work, at least with our partners at state level, to try and rationalise the process so that there is there's a greater use of this tool over others. Because as Blair said, it's the first time I think that we'll have some real-time bottom-up data to help inform the services and support that people like Sport Australia and the NSOs can provide. And I think the greater the uptake of tools of this tool in particular, it helps us make quality decisions around how we go about servicing people at the coalface. So yeah, in relation to the industry and what other services are there, we acknowledge that there are a range of other providers. We'd like as many clubs to use this tool as much as possible. We're obviously also very keen to evolve the tool as we use it, and we're very keen to hear from people at NSO and club level about information about how they might like to see it improve.
Yeah, and Judy, the fact that there is a private provider out there, and you've acknowledged that being a private provider, it just shows that people have identified that there's real need in volunteer land for a tool to help volunteers out rather than it relying on one or two people with all that knowledge. And people see volunteers stressed out because of that, and they don't put their hand up to volunteer because they're afraid that they'll end up the same way. So yeah, thanks Judy, definitely. So yeah, so volunteers is something that we're really keen to make sure that we try to make the job easier, because no sport runs without volunteers, and particularly not-for-profit sporting organisations like ours. So I mean, some data recently, 60% of our playing membership volunteer as well. So a lot of players, volunteers, coaches, volunteers, etc., etc. So another question there, I think. I'll just have a definitely no. That's good. All right then. Look, I'm conscious that it's everyone's private time. Volunteers all on the call here. So there's no more questions. I'm happy to wrap it up there. And as I said, I'll get this recording top and tailed, I think marketing people call it. And then we'll get it out to everyone who registered for the event tonight, and happy to share that. You can share that with anyone you like, and we'll get it up on our info hub on the HA website, and we'll also share it with our member association so that they can put it on their website at some point down the future. But I'd just like to thank Nicola and Hamish. They've been great supports for Hockey Australia, and they'll continue to be, I'm sure. And it is an area that we really do want to focus on more so, and to allow people to volunteer in areas they want to volunteer, and that they enjoy doing what they do in that volunteer land. So hope everyone has a good evening, and we'll see you at the next education series, that one that interests you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Blair.
Hamish and
Thanks,
Nicola, can you just hold on for 2 ticks?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Roz. Thanks, Michelle. Yep.
I think we lost H, Blair.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. That's no worries. I know we're 2 minutes into Survivor.
Oh, you're fine.
No, thanks a lot for that. Once we get over this whole nationals thing that we're doing at the moment, I really do truly want you to let you know that we will be focusing on it and revisiting it. Our national participation and engagement plan, we were going to go through another whole consultation period that Maddie Waugh and I went through to develop the plan.
Yeah,
but we've decided internally that what we'll do is just extend the plan, but we'll do some internal consultation with stakeholders just to refine a little bit more, because the original plan was developed by what came from the community, and now we just need to refine it. But game plan will still be in there, and we'll still be pushing that. So, and I didn't realize it was such a high percentage. You know, MJ must be a numbers man, because when I said 81, he said that's about 10%.
It's huge, and you guys are like right up in that top 5. Like, it's crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah, we went, yeah, good. 10% is good. So we hope to get that up further and further. So thanks again.
Yeah.
No
worries, Claire. We'll speak to you soon. And like, whenever you're ready, I didn't anticipate that water polo question being in there. I just have been doing some.
No. But that's a good.
No, I felt bad. I'm like, oh no.
No. There's a good little in to say this is what we will be doing. It's just that we haven't gotten there yet, and we're happy to wear that.
Because we've been doing some at their pointy end, and so I had changed mine from a touch footy club over to a water polo club.
Right, okay, yeah, no worries. It's all good, Nicola. Look, you enjoy the evening. I hope your favourite wins. I'll find out in a day or two once Priscilla watches 10 play.
All right. Yeah, have a great time in Newcastle. Thanks, Blair. Bye.
Okay, bye.